Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As everyone is well aware, and as Ranking Member Holt referenced, tomorrow is the third-year anniversary of the report issued by the National Commission on the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill. And as we've also heard today several times, Congress has received an abysmal D+ on their response to the disaster from the former commissioners, as we have yet to enact many of the recommended legislative reforms to improve the safety of offshore drilling. It's unfortunate, and that's to say it mildly, that my colleagues across the aisle have chosen to ignore the bulk of lessons learned from that appalling spill. And much of the push to explore the Atlantic coast offshore region ignores the fact that domestic oil production is at a 20-year high and natural gas production is at an all-time high in the United States. We should be making sure that the current oil production boom occurs in a manner that protects its workers, coastal communities, and the environment. We cannot discuss expanding offshore drilling in the Atlantic without first passing meaningful legislation to enhance drilling safety. I am proud to be a co-sponsor of Ranking Member DeFazio and Subcommittee Ranking Member Holt's legislation, the Offshore Energy Safety and Technology Improvements Act, which Mr. Holt outlined in his opening remarks. A recent report from the American Petroleum Institute claims to lay out the economic benefits of opening up the entire Atlantic outer continental shelf to oil and natural gas development. However, this report ignores the potential economic impacts on tourism and fishing industries in the event of a spill. Mr. Bosch, from your experiences in the Gulf and as a member of the Commission, how extensive was the economic impact on the local fishing and tourism industries following the BP Deepwater Horizon disaster?
Thank you. The impact was indeed extensive because it basically shut down both industries for some months during that year. Fishing has resumed, and there's at this point no indication that there are truly major long-lasting impacts, but people literally lost their livelihoods for a full year. Similarly with the tourist industry, and in both cases there's a longer-term impact in terms of the brand. People associate the Gulf of Mexico and going there for a vacation or eating Gulf seafood with that oil spill. So those industries are very concerned about the long-term impact in terms of their attractiveness to tourists or people who consume seafood.
Well, I appreciate that because from the information we have, at the peak of the closure, over 88,000 square miles, or nearly 37% of all federal waters in the Gulf of Mexico were off limits to fishing. The National Academy of Science estimates that fishery closures decreased commercial production by 20%, which created obviously an immediate economic hardship for fishermen and also triggered, as you just mentioned, public concerns regarding the safety of Gulf seafood. It hurt the brand, which is much more difficult to quantify. As you know, my home state of Massachusetts is also home to historic fishing and tourism industries. And like many of the Gulf states, the health of our ocean is directly tied to the economic health of our communities. While the hearing today is not focused on New England and the North Atlantic, our region is still highly relevant to today's discussion, as it could well be a precursor to future efforts to drill off New England shores. And just as a statement for the record, in Massachusetts, we depend on the ocean and coastal areas for shipping, commercial fishing, and tourism. In fact, Massachusetts is home to the most profitable port in the nation in New Bedford, Massachusetts, which brings in over $400 million a year in commercial fishery landings. That would be a significant impact were there to be a spill that prevented that from taking place. And the New England region as a whole brings in over $1.1 billion in commercial landings annually and has a ripple effect on our entire region. So we know the ocean is not a static ecosystem. What happens impacts many. And for the record, I thank you for your testimony today because it demonstrates that it is highly irresponsible for us to consider expanding offshore drilling and putting these important industries in jeopardy without first taking any action to improve overall drilling safety. Thank you, and I yield back.